I'm Dr. J.D. Eveland, Professor of Business Administration and Information Systems at Touro University International. I'd like to welcome you to this course on the role of information technology in customer relations management, and introduce the topic by discussing a little bit about the notion of technology and why we find it interesting to pay attention to this issue in courses like this. The basic idea behind the course is that the technological environment has changed rather dramatically in recent years, and the impacts on the process of customer relations management are fairly significant. It is an area that is attracting considerable additional attention and considerable resources, and therefore it's expected that information technology managers will in fact know something about the topic and be able to knowledgeably discuss the issues involved in customer relations management. The issues that are involved are generic to many other problems in the process of management and the application of information technology, and they are issues that clearly affect much of what goes on in organizations today. Let's begin by thinking a little bit about the concept of technology itself. When you hear the term technology, what immediately springs to your mind? If you're like most people these days, it will probably be the computer. The computer is a fairly ubiquitous feature of organizational and personal life these days. And in fact, it's frequently difficult for us to remember how it was before we encountered these machines and how we used to practice our daily lives before we had access to things like the internet and Google and Wikipedia and all of the information appliances that make our lives so full and rich these days. Some of you are probably of an age like myself and can remember these primeval days before we had these information tools available to us. Probably a number of you are young enough that you have grown up in this environment and have no concept of what life was like before we had these assorted tools available to us. The important part about all of this is that the technology that we identify, in this case information technologies in general, and computers in particular, is only one aspect of the general notion of technology and one aspect of the things we will talk about under this heading. Technology originally means simply tools. People have been using tools for, probably 100,000 years or so, and we've gotten better at using them. We have more complicated and bigger tools. We can use them in ways that are rather different from the ways that our assorted ancestors used them. The notion of tool is, as I said, one of the earliest and most pervasive ideas that characterize human beings. The notion of technology, by contrast, is actually a relatively recent invention, probably less than 100 years old in terms of its generic application. When we think of technologies, what we are implicitly talking about is categories of tools, classes of tools, groups of tools that have similar functions or similar structures. The reason why it's useful to think about the notion of categories of tools or technologies is because we think they behave in similar kinds of ways and can be analyzed as having similar kinds of effects. Now, there's an ambiguity built into the notion of technology, which is kind of important and will affect this course and other courses you take in this program and the rest of your career in information technology, in fact. And that is that when we talk about classifying or grouping tools into groups called technologies, we have two different ways in which we can do that. One of the ways, and this relates to the kinds of functions that tools play. When we think of tools, we think of two things particularly. We think of what they are, the structure, the physical object, or the way in which we use it, and we think about what we use it for, or the purpose, or the reason behind it, what we're trying to do. Most tools that we know of can be used to do a number of different kinds of things, more or less well. Most things that we need to have done can be done in different kinds of ways, likewise. but there are better and worse combinations of the two. For example, here is a fairly common tool that we all pretty much have used at one point or another, the basic hammer. Hammers have been around for, perhaps 20,000 years or so of human history. We still get numerous patent applications for new hammer designs each year and grant them in the United States. Hammers are very efficient kinds of tools for many kinds of purposes. They represent a class of tools, of technologies, if you will, which we might call pounding technologies. Represented other kinds of things that could be categorized in this form as well. Now, a hammer is very useful if what you want to do is pound a nail. And there are numerous kinds of applications of nails all around the place. Hammers are not quite so useful, for example, if what you have is one of these, for example, a can of soup. It is possible to open a can of soup with a hammer. I don't know if you've ever tried to do so, but it can be done. It's not particularly pretty and not particularly efficient, and no, I am not going to demonstrate it for you here this afternoon. What I am going to do is show you that we have other kinds of technologies that are perhaps better adapted to this particular thing, and that would be something like this, a basic can opener. Can openers are extremely useful for opening cans. They are really not particularly useful, however, if what you really need to do is pound a nail. I don't know if you've ever tried to pound a nail with a can opener, but it can be done. There are sets of these kinds of tools that are better or worse for different kinds of things all over the place. There are other kinds of tools that are really handy for other kinds of things, but have no use for either pounding or opening cans, and I would recommend for you, for example, the basic stuffed Porky Pig as being a good example of a tool that is really useful for many kinds of purposes, but not particularly useful for either pounding nails or opening cans. Well, where are we going with all this? What we're really trying to say is that when we talk about looking at technologies in relationship to specific kinds of management tasks and management issues, we can classify them on either basis, either the basis of what they are, the nature of their structure, or the things that they do. And when we talk about customer relations management technologies, we have an ambiguity built into this. We talk about this as the tools to do the things that customer relations managers do, carrying out the processes of customer relations management, which are at least as old as commerce in general. We've been managing, anybody who's ever been in business has got to manage their customers in various kinds of ways. We have different kinds of tools for doing so. We used to have, basic file cards and notes kept in people's shirt pockets and scrolled envelope packs and a lot of things in people's heads. That's customer relations management technology of a sort, and it works in many respects. We also now have rather complicated and rather interesting and rather specialized tools, information processing tools that are available, and these are used for customer relations management, among other kinds of things. There's a set of tools for doing things called data mining. We'll talk about this in this course. This is the process of looking through large organizational databases and trying to surface patterns that you can use for various kinds of purposes. They're used for developing customer patterns, they're used for targeting customers, but they're used for a lot of other kinds of purposes as well. There, in other courses, you'll hear more about these tools. Are they customer relations management technologies? Yes, they are. Are they only that? No, they can be used for a lot of other kinds of things as well. There are any kind of specialized information processing tools likely to have applications in a variety of areas. That's one of the interesting characteristics of information tools, is that they can be used in a lot of different kinds of ways. So when we talk about the nature of the tools in this course, we're going to be dealing with the tools that are primarily focused on the carrying out the process of customer relations management. We're not recognizing that these tools are not only used for that purpose, but used for a variety of other kinds of things as well. So being aware of the range of things that these tools will do and the kinds of operations that they'll facilitate is a very important part of what this course is all about. One of the main reasons we're interested in this notion of technology is that technology is one half of the very important equation of what we call the socio-technical system of the organization. You may have encountered this notion of socio-technical systems in a variety of other sorts of places, in this program and other places. It's a very basic notion that says that the organization, as we know it, functions as a combination of two major kinds of elements. The technical system on the one hand, the tools, the specific procedures, all the physical attributes of the organization constitute one part of the system, the technical system. At the same time, there is a social system, which is made up of the individuals involved, their social relationships, their attitudes, ideas, and behaviors, their roles, responsibilities, their interconnections, their relationships inside and outside the organization. All of these things that are largely intangible, but clearly affect the ways in which the organization operates. The basic insight of socio-technical systems theory is that it is not possible to change one of these systems without changing the other one simultaneously, whether you intend to or not. And therefore, the degree to which you can incorporate this approach and systematically plan for socio-technical change and understand the nature of these interactions is an important part of the efficient operation of organizations. You encounter this notion of the socio-technical system in a number of places, and we'll bring it up again, of course, in this course as well. But why we are interested in this is because as these kinds of technologies, customer relations management purposes, find applications and are used in a number of different kinds of ways, they have systematically affected both the social as well as the technological system of the organization. And often in ways that were not necessarily planned or ways that were not necessarily foreseen or allowed for. And not even noticed sometimes until well after they had had their effects. So as information technology managers or prospective information technology managers, it will pay you to understand the nature of these socio-technical interactions and recognize that the kinds of technological changes that we carry out are going to have their impacts on the rest of the organization, whether you plan or allow for these or not, or whether you incorporate them into your design. Thinking about this in advance, being proactive, being cautious, being aware of what we do is the important part of this whole process. And that's what we're trying to do in this program, is to stimulate your ideas along these lines and stimulate your sensitivities and give you a way of talking about these phenomena with other people. As prospective information technology managers, you will be called upon to play a major role in the development and evolution of these kinds of systems. You need to speak the language of many different kinds of areas. One of the most important areas and specialized languages in which you can speak is, in fact, customer relations management, because this is an area, as we've said, that is changing dramatically. So learning the specialized language of this field will pay you dividends in the long run and will make you a more effective manager. Obviously, the more multilingual you are in terms of being able to speak different dialects of information technology and reflect these in your analysis and your advice to the organization, that will increase your value and increase your ability to feel satisfied with your own contributions. Well, that's what we're trying to do in this course. We're trying to develop your technological sensitivities. We're trying to increase your awareness of what technology is and how it works for you. We're trying to make it easier for you to see how these elements fit together. In this course, we've developed a number of different kinds of tools and materials that will be helpful to you. In addition to this video, we have an introductory discussion of customer relations management as a problem and as a set of organizational issues, which you'll find linked on the homepage of the course. We also have, over the course of the different modules in the course, you'll be exposed to a number of different aspects of the problem and have a chance to see and research and think about a number of different kinds of technological applications that are made. One of the things that's always interesting about thinking about new technologies is the degree to which they respond to felt needs of the organization or the system, or act to stimulate and create those needs themselves. Obviously, there are many things that happen in technology these days that we don't necessarily appreciate our needs for until we actually see them. A lot of the power of computing as a technology is that it has, or a set of technologies, is that it has been able to respond to numerous different kinds of needs and create new needs itself. Thinking about this sort of proactive or protean nature of technology, of information technology in particular, is a very important part of what this course is all about. So, I hope you find this interesting. I hope you will find the material accessible and useful, and don't hesitate to let your instructors know if you have any questions about what's going on. We look forward to working with you and increasing your knowledge of what's going on here in the course, in the field, in the program, and we hope to contribute to your growth and professional development and personal development in this fascinating and truly intriguing era of information expansion within which we live. Thank you very much for your attention, and we look forward to hearing from you about any reactions to this short presentation or other things about the course. Have a good time with it, learn some good things, and become a great manager. Thanks a lot, and enjoy yourselves.